running theatrically in Europe.
And I'm going to run because I'm going to make way for your favorite theater guest.
Yes, Gerald McCullouch.
Come sit down, Gerald.
Look at you in your sexy little get-up.
Yes, you
Come
bet.
on in.
It was great seeing you the other night, man.
You too.
How are you, sir?
Welcome to
You're so
GayUSA.
amazing. I'm honored to be back.
Good to see
Thank
you
you
again.
Good to see.
Well,
good to be seen.
Now, I know you're well known, but let me just do a little
you
introduction
can do
here.
whatever you want to do, Mr. Humm.
Gerald McCullouch, and he's saying my name right, so I'm trying to say his name right. Gerald McCullouch is a star of stage, screen, big and small, and the internet. We're going to talk about that, right? Internets. You may know him from CSI, but I also know him from plays like Daddy, which I understand is now being made into a film.
Yeah.
And you're a recurring host on FYE on ETV.
On entertainment television,
right?
Yeah. ETV, yeah. Whatever it's
And
called.
you're now part of Gay Fest NYC. 3 plays at 312 West 36th Street that will be benefiting the Harvey Milk School.
And today is Harvey Milk's birthday, so it's honored to be here talking about it on his
Okay,
birthday.
as we're taping.
Yeah.
So, and you've been doing that, they've been doing that since 1977. And these plays are Moonlight, well, we're going to talk about them.
Well, this is actually the 5th year of Gay Fest NYC, which is a organization of a bunch of Tony Award-winning producers, directors, creative team.
Oh man,
that come
you got
together.
some
and,
heavyweights there.
Yeah, it's really Bruce Robert Harris and the names.
No,
the
you
names
got
come and go.
Terrence McNally, Charles Bush, Douglas
Are on
Carter
the board,
Bean,
yeah,
Lily
Lily
Tomlin,
Tomlin.
Mario Cantone, Kate Clinton, William Ivy Long.
So they and Jack Batman is the other other producer, and they spend their year reading a bunch of new works. LGBT works, and they pick a few stories each year to produce. And this is the first year this is the 5th season. However, with Jack and Bruce's busy schedule, they have a few Tony Awards under their belt now, and it hasn't been done the last few years. So this is their first year back. They found 2 plays that are so extremely beautiful and important that it was important enough for them to get these told.
Well, before I ask you some other questions in general, why don't we talk about the festival and what you're doing in it? We have a shot of you in Moonlight and Love Songs.
Yes.
There it is.
Oh, yes, with my handsome co-star, Nick Bailey.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about that as a preview.
Well, Scott Sickles is the playwright who's just written a beautiful story about a 45-year-old architect who spends his life not quite finding the right mate, other than what we find in the movies. And I find a young, handsome 20-year-old comes into my life out of the blue, and I finally get to experience love for the first time until some very tragic turn of events kind of throw my world into turmoil very publicly, and it is a heartbreaking journey. So beautifully told, with such a sweet message of hope. At the end, that I am astounded by the beauty of Scott Sickles' words. It's, I love that I'm here doing this. It benefits such a great organization. Gay Fest NYC has so far funded, I believe, more than 40 scholarships to some of these kids that leave Harvey Milk High School, and it assists them with their furthering education. They started a playwriting program.
That's new, huh? They're starting a playwriting program at the Harvey Milk School. You know, I used to work there.
Oh, did you? I didn't know that.
I worked at...
You had such an amazing history.
No, Ann and I worked for 9 years at the Hedrick Martin Institute, which runs the Harvey Milk School.
Oh, all right.
And it's run with the Board of Education now, of course. But
and Harvey Milk is an accredited NYC public high school where kids that are in danger, both physically and emotionally, can go and have a safe haven for their educational journey.
It's been going on since about 1985.
It's an amazing organization, and Gay Fest NYC is one of the sole, I guess, fundraising entities that raises funds for these kids to further their life after they get out of high school. And
which is important to follow up. As we said, the victim in this horrible anti-gay murder this week
was I know.
Not a graduate of the school, maybe, but he was a graduate of the clients at Hedrick Martin Institute. He was a client there at Hedrick Martin.
And also just with the, prevalence right now and just the kind of the cultural awareness of bullying and the horrible ramifications it can have on kids that, we all went through. But now there's a safe haven for them, and it's now kind of in the cultural vernacular, and things like this are very important. And I not only love this play, but I really stand behind this organization.
Well, we're a little older, and we have
I don't know what you mean, Andy Humm. I don't know what you mean.
And I'm a lot older than you. But we, in some senses, had this I won't call it an advantage, but we had a period of denial, and there was the homosexuality not being taught. I'm not saying people
well,
didn't.
we lost
I'm not saying
generations
people
of
didn't-
mentors to look up to. We didn't have people really paving the way that.
But I'm not saying we didn't get teased and hit
at all.
because we did. But today there is such a consciousness of it among the kids.
Well, and because
that,
of Facebook and YouTube, everything's so much more public. I mean, your life is no longer your life now, especially at that age. Kids, not kids, but human beings sometimes don't understand the boundaries and the far outreach that those social networking entities have. And now these kids, their lives, a moment of their life is put out in front of all their friends, and just like the guy jumping off the bridge at the GWB, that's one example of things that have been going on for a long, long time.
Well, Michael Douglas was saying this in an interview about Liberace. He said, how did Liberace get away with what he got away with all those years?
Money.
Well, and there was no internet, and now we don't. He says we don't have private lives anymore.
Yeah,
unless
you take a lot of effort into making your life as private as you can.
And let's just go over the other plays there because they sound intriguing, and I'm really looking forward to them. Another one is the world premiere of The Loves of Mr. Lincoln
yes.
by David Brendan Hope. So we're finally going to get the truth about Honest Abe.
Unlike we did in that movie that was out of
Lincoln,
2 months ago.
written by Tony Kushner.
I know, I love Tony.
I do too, and he defended himself.
I know.
Come on, Tony. Anyway, this is going to tell the true story about Lincoln and Joshua Speed, who he shared a bed with for many years.
Yes, I believe that it's...
And he was very wealthy. He didn't need to.
I know. Well, I believe it's it may not be a fact, and I'm sure that this is my rear end talking.
All right.
But I think there are very few occurrences when Lincoln spent the night in the same bed with his wife. Isn't that true?
I'm not sure about that, but... she was a troubled woman.
But there are many occurrences where it's known that he spent the night with male paramours.
Yes, including in the White House.
Yes, and this play investigates that. So our play opens GayFest NYC 2013, and then after us, The Loves of Mr. Lincoln plays, and concurrently during ours, GayFest NYC is also working with another theater company that currently has the Oscar Wilde play running.
Gross Indecency, The Three Trials of Oscar Wilde. We have a picture of the cast here. Whoa!
That is a cast.
Well, this was a breakthrough play from Moises Kaufman.
Yes.
It's all based on the documentary evidence of the trials. It's transcripts from the trials that are knitted together in such a great way. It was a very long run. I think it ran for 2 years off Broadway.
And didn't it also come back then after that? I
thought
it had a remounting. I could
It
be
is
wrong.
a terrific play.
Down at the Manila Lane, right? Isn't that where?
Yep.
Yeah.
And I'm, and of course looking forward to yours as well. I mean, you're
thank
doing
you.
it from, this all runs from May 23rd to June.
Yeah, they're very limited engagements.
2nd for yours.
Yeah,
June 6th through the 16th for Lincoln, and May 30th through June 16th for the Oscar Wilde play. Yeah.
Both of the specifically produced GayFest NYC plays, my play, Moonlight and Love Songs, and the Loves of Mr. Lincoln, have very limited engagements just because of the cause that we're serving and doing due to the equity union. We're limited in the run, but we preview starting tomorrow night, Thursday, open Friday night, and then have, I believe, only 10 performances.
And all of this is, you can go to gayfestnyc.com, right?
I think it's .org, actually. It could be. I may not be the right person to ask that question.
I have .com from Philip.
Okay.
But I'm sure if you put both of them up, they'll come up.
Yes.
It's gayfestnyc.com. That's what we have here. But we'll see. Let's talk about you a little bit. Let's catch up with you a little bit.
Okay, then we can do that if you want to.
Well, how are you?
I'm doing really good. The play came to me very suddenly, and I'm glad it did, and I love that I'm back here for a few months after this. Speaking of David Drake is also directing a new show called Cover. So I go from this into doing his show Cover, which I'm really excited about. I've known of David for a very long time, but we got to work together during BearCity, which is a film I'm part of. He was in BearCity as well as BearCity 2, The Proposal.
How do you spell bear?
Bear, grr, rough, with a lot of furs, how you spell it.
Okay.
And yeah, so I'm honored to work with David. It's just great that not only something brought me in town, because I'm bi-coastal, I go back and forth, and it's always nice when work brings me back. So to be here with this play for a great cause, and then to be working with David directly after this, I'm thrilled. It's going to be a great time in New York.
And you did the play Daddy, and you are talking about doing this in
Daddy, oddly enough, Daddy, which kind of investigates the same story terrain that this does in a way, had its world premiere directly upstairs from where I'm doing Moonlight and Love Songs, which is odd out of all the theaters in New York to be at the same
Spooky.
space. I know. And then Daddy luckily moved to LA. We had a long run in LA. We got extended, I think, 3 or 4 times. And I have been working with the playwright, and we have a beautiful script, and it's now being produced by Stephen Israel, who's got a few films out now, including I Do and GBF that just premiered at Tribeca. He's on board and is producing it. We start shooting in the winter, I believe.
And so that everybody can see you, who can't get to New York for Gay Fest NYC.
Which everyone should see.
Well, come enjoy. But you have an internet venture.
I do. Sebastian Lacause, who is, a Broadway stud, who is Rocky in Rocky Horror, who is in the movie Chicago and did Chicago on Broadway, an amazing and beautiful human being. Sebastian has created a new web series, or we're now in our 3rd season, with Daphne Rubin Vega and Wilson Cruz and me, and an amazing cast he's assembled. And it's called Hustling. And it is about a beautiful man trying to get out of a life of hustling and move into being a chef. And I'm kind of his chef mentor.
Okay.
And
how can people see it?
Hustling, I believe it's Hustling. Yes, you can see it. Research Hustling.
And
HustlingTV.com, or it's on YouTube.
And we will send it out in our email. We will track it down and send it out in our email. Sorry we didn't get it in advance. And we're just down to our last, half minute. But, so you're one of the pioneers in terms of out gay actors.
Not at all.
Yes,
Not at all.
Out,
No.
Out. You are.
No.
You are. And I'm just asking you how the atmosphere is changing in movies and television and all that kind of stuff.
I think luckily, the stories being reflected about us are changing, and I think that's changing society. But there are people like Neil Patrick Harris who are, there are so many people that are having a much
Quinto.
Yes, a much more profound impact than I'm doing.
kids.
I'm just walking the walk that I can walk.
Yes.
But yeah, it's changing. Look at Neil Patrick Harris. He's changed the face of all of this for all of us.
And we're looking forward to seeing you in Gay Fest NYC. Thanks
you.
for being with us, everybody, and we will see you next week. And we hope we have better news to report on how we're being treated in the streets.
Yes.
Yeah.
We should.
Thanks for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Well.